Fernando Fernandez is a former chief economist at Banco Santander. His 27-year career also included a spell as senior economist at the IMF. Now he's professor of economics at the IE Business School in Madrid. You see him behind me. He joins me from the Spanish capital. Thank you so much for your time. Great to have you on the show. So, as we were saying,
good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. So as we were saying there, this is the Socialist Party's worst defeat in 30 years in local elections. Pretty remarkable result we have here. What are the economic implications for Spain's regions?
Indeed, this is the worst result ever. It was even much worse than expected or projected. I think the implications for this are twofold. First of all, it will be very difficult for the government not to call early elections. The government has lost all moral and political authority, and this will make any additional adjustment, any additional economic reform highly unlikely. And in terms of the regional government, there will be a change in at least 5 or 6 regional governments, and we will probably see some revision upwards of the fiscal deficit and the fiscal debt at those regional governments. This has already happened in the case of Catalonia when it changed government, and it will most likely happen in some other regions. I don't think it will be very significant in macro terms, but it will certainly create some doubts about the fiscal adjustment process in Spain.
You say that early elections are almost inevitable at this point. Zapatero, while saying that he doesn't intend to seek a third term, has also said that he intends to govern until March 2012. So how is that going to happen? How's that going to play out?
Well, indeed, the president said last night, President Zapatero, that he would try to continue to the end of the term. But already some internal voices within the Socialist Party are calling for early elections. And one of the most outstanding political figures, the only regional leader that has saved the region for the Socialists, has this morning openly came out saying that the government needs early elections. The problem is, whatever does the government to satisfy the markets, whatever additional economic reform is implemented, will only make the Socialist Party to lose more votes. Therefore, the landslide will be even worse if the elections are called in March. On the other hand, if the government tries to appease the demonstrators and to appease the left, who has got the extreme left, who has got a very good result, then, of course, the financial and economic difficulties will only increase. So the government is really in a catch-22 situation. There is nothing it can do to win more political support without really hurting its image in the markets and creating significant damage to the Spanish economy. So the best thing that can happen, and what I really think it will happen, is that at the end the government will be forced to call early elections.
Okay, so then what happens after that?
Well, what happens, most likely the Popular Party will win, and we will see some significant measures. Now, the Popular Party is very confident that they will gain the heart of the market, sort of saying, because they already did in '96. However, the situation is very different, and the new government that comes in place will have to come out with an adjustment program that will not only deal with the fiscal side. The big question here is how do you discipline the expenditure, public expenditure in the regions, but there are also issues dealing with the financial recapitalization program, which is only announced, but it hasn't been started to any significant effect. It hasn't started really. And there's also the question of growth. The main question in the Spanish economy is how do you make this economy go back to growth? Yeah. And this talks about a huge, significant liberalization program in the Spanish economy.
From what you're saying, Mr. Fernandez, either way, whether or not we have early elections, we've got some pretty painful regional spending cuts to come. I just want to throw, a statistic at you, something that Bloomberg has mentioned, Bloomberg News. Spain's 8,000 municipal governments are suffering from a revenue slump, as you well know, caused by the collapse of property prices, owe 33 billion euros in unpaid bills. Now, that figure, according to the Platform Against Late Payment, that's a pressure group. How is that going to be resolved? What is the end game?
Well, I think that at some point the municipal governments and the regional governments, which are the most significant part of the hidden debt, or the floating debt, the unpaid debts, is not only at the municipal governments, also at the regional governments level. At some point, some restructuring of that private debt will have to happen. The governments, regional and local, simply do not have enough money to pay for all the outstanding debt. So what will have to happen is that we'll have to renegotiate part of the debt, domestic debt, essentially, and also the fiscal transfers within the Spanish kingdom will have to change. So there will have to be a new round of financing for the municipalities. New taxes will have to be devolved to the municipal governments to pay for future taxes. I mean, they just simply cannot expect to continue living out of real estate taxes because the real estate market is depressed and will continue to be depressed for 3 to 5 years.
Great to get your insight. Wonderful to have you on the show. Do speak to us again. Fernando Fernandez, professor of the IE Business School in Madrid.